And it's like, well, Trump could be, it could be that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, Nancy? Could be. The argument is you're supposed to be able to demonstrate this thing. And he was not able to do that. I don't know if you noticed, but he could not do that. Hey,
No,
Dylan's
yeah.
out there.
Out there somewhere.
God damn it.
All right. A wonderful view of Tyler's keyboard and no audio. Say something, Tyler.
Something, Tyler.
Yeah, your screen's not even lighting up, bro.
I can hear you fine. You know, it's just you. Every time I use your thing, it like crashes my PC. And like I've looked up online, and that is a common issue for the what is it, StreamYard or Stream whatever bullshit you use. Yeah, you use the other one. That's even worse. I can't remember. I remember which one it was, but I remember looking it up because I distinctly had such a bad time using it. And I looked it up on a Reddit, and Reddit said it. It was a common thing that it would crash people's whole PCs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because you got like a PC from 1994, maybe. Mm-hmm. You got an NSI bullshit is what you got. Mm-hmm. I can hear it fine. Yes. It's not you, it's grid. Yeah, let me do this. There we go. Oh, pobrecito.
Eso mute people.
Testing. Okay. Let's do this.
What's up, Dylan?
All right.
Not much. Still grinding. How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's been a rough week, but we're getting better.
Good.
That's good. It's good to hear you're getting better.
Well, I'm not. I wasn't the one having the rough week. My mom passed away, so she had a rough week. But
Well, I know, but I assume that means a rough week for you too.
you know, man, it was actually more of a blessing than anything that she didn't suffer. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's can be really terrible.
Yes. And before I have some kind of phobia, oh, Tyler's gone. I guess I am going to get the phobia of the CTE kicking in and give me Alzheimer's, which is going to happen.
The CTE?
Yeah, bro, you don't see these fucking giant-ass dents in my head? Like, I'm for sure going to get CTE. Like, that's just going to happen. These people are like, I want to live to 200. I'm like, man, I'm hoping 65. That's a good number. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
My grandmother lived to 104.
Yeah, my granddaddy lived to like 96 or something, but the last like 8 of those years he was like a vegetable, and that was awful.
Yeah, the craziest thing. So my grandmother, after her 104th birthday, which is about 2 weeks before Christmas, at Christmas time she comes over, hangs out with us, holds my then new son, and he's like 5 now, and she's like, I made it 104. I won't make it to 105. And called it on the button. Like she's.
I think some people just got that will to live, and once they see the last thing they want to see, they're just like, yeah, but check it out.
Yeah.
A lot of people die after they stop working. You know, they don't keep themselves active, and they don't really feel a reason to get out of bed anymore. And they're like trying to figure out what to do with the rest of their life. And when you got nothing to live for, it's harder to live.
I think also like that happened to my granddad, and it wasn't that he like didn't have anything going on. It was just like the constant work on the ranch. Like it was like you have to do something every day, so it kept it stimulated. And the minute he slowed down at all, it like overtook him. So also this is gonna bother me what this bitch just did here.
For sure.
I'm gonna go get something to drink because I have no water.
Yeah,
and,
you're good.
I'll be good.
And then we'll kick it off here, boys. Kyle, everybody, welcome, man. We should have a good new crowd of people today. I decided to cause a war on Facebook by calling somebody a baby bitch for like they're posting their opinions without ever coming on. And you know, it's always amazing how these people got all these opinions, but then you call them out, and then the guy goes, "Oh, I'll post a reputable source," and he posts Huffington Post, and I was like, "Okay, buddy." That's about as reputable as Snopes, which is 0% reputable now. And one time, I actually fact-checked Snopes just to see, because we were doing the Nazis.
You fact-checked Snopes?
Yeah, I did, because I said Nazis are socialists, and I put it in there. You know, yeah, and I posted, and so they had 4 sources like that they listed, like no, Nazis aren't actually socialists. The last one was a WordPress article. So I went in there to like their top 4 sources. One was literally a WordPress article that like I could have made in like 2 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I don't trust this shit all. That was like back when like everybody was like, "Oh, Snopes is the end-all be-all for fact-checking," and now everybody knows they're a joke.
I got to dive off camera for a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, there you go. Kryler's mustache. I'm waiting for him to do the special stash. When do you think that's happening, Tyler?
The what?
The special stash.
What are you talking about? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's No Nut November.
Yeah, you gonna do the special stash? This guy. The Miami Vice vibes? Yeah, we're bringing back the Miami Vice. The Austrian painter stash. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about.
There's a correlation between not nutting and being anti-Jewish, I think.
I saw, what's that, Piper Presley, the one that fucking, what's her name, Sarah always has, is like her commercial with the horse. And she does a lot of comedy TikToks. And she's like, if you could eat dinner with anybody from history, who would it be? And don't say that German painter guy. And then it switches to that Mexican comedian. He's like, don't worry, mine's Austrian. Like, god damn it.
Oh, we're talking about famous Austrians. Can I start?
Yeah, there you go. We've probably already gone down the rabbit hole now.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, there's one.
I think his dad was actually like a Nazi, though. Wasn't that a thing?
So,
Blondie. Blondie was also an Austrian.
Oh, nice. So,
Blondie.
So I talked to your IT guy, your sound guy, Gibbs, and he told me to turn off a couple of things. So let me know if my mic cuts out like it was doing.
You sound fine. Yeah, that guy's good at that shit. He like fixes everybody's shit.
Yeah, I think it was just distance. Like when I get too far away, it registers me as background noise and cuts it out.
Yeah, I need to fucking have him do my fucking mic, but I never have time. Alright, we're just waiting on Grid to come back and then we'll kick it off again. Everybody leaves as we start all the time here. Guys, I'm running a real orderly operation. That's what we're known for here at the Gibbs channel. Hope everybody's doing well tonight.
Or as the streets call them, the Debate Olympics.
The Debate Olympics, there you go. Alright, Grid is back. Alright, let's kick this shit off. We're going to, we're having the Give Me a Break. Is having Iran the WHOOPins a good thing panel tonight? We're going to be doing several of these Iran panels here in the future, I'm sure, as it continues to dwell on, just like all the other wars that we get involved in. So let's talk about it, see if it's a good thing. One of us had to drop, so we don't have to eat sides tonight, but I'm sure a big boy can handle it. It's just Tyler and Grid, right? Anyway, let's kick it off with Tyler. What do you think? Are we pro Iran WHOOPins or not?
Oh, yeah, all the way. I'm always pro-war, pro-establishment. Our government's got it right. We're a nation of ideas, and we need to reject these radical religious fundamentalists that oppress their people. Just think about it for a second. The IRGC and the clerics, through a revolution, overthrew the democratically appointed government and now force hyper-extreme religious tyranny on their people, killing them if they rise up. And what we see from the IDF liberators is they are now going after the besieged checkpoints to allow people to express themselves in public. Suddenly, you can now walk your dog if you are an Iranian with a dog, which there are very few because it's illegal to walk one. So I think it's about damn time they've been our enemy and the enemy of freedom, justice, and the American way for too damn long. And when they go, their allies hurt. No more pipelines to Russia and China. We're cutting them off at the knees too. So let's go all the way.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's go to Grid.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's hard to top Tyler on all of this stuff. He's so eloquent. I will say that it's just kind of crazy how, first of all, I think the new guy, the new supreme leader, I think he must has a set of balls on him that he carry around in a wagon behind him because he took the job knowing he's a target. And since he hasn't come to the peace table, since he hasn't decided to, cease operations, it's going to probably go badly for him. And I think that Iran, and I can put the best way I can put Iran is Iran's that one neighbor that even though you hate HOAs, you would call the HOA on him. Like that's the guy. Like everybody in the neighborhood hates that guy. He's the guy that borrows your lawnmower for 3 years and brings it back broken. He's the guy that literally parks his car on your lawn and then complains that he got stuck in the mud. So basically, I guess all I could say is, fuck those guys, and they're going to get what they get.
All right. Thank you so much. And Dylan.
Yeah, so we haven't achieved any of our objectives. The objectives that Trump said was that we needed to get rid of their atomic weapons program. He also said we needed to stop the killing and then did nothing for weeks as the killing continued, got more brutal, and only after it died down did he actually decide to intervene, not seemingly motivated by the killings, but motivated by America's Middle East geostrategic interests, of course. But we have not been able to stop the atomic program. He wants to stop the atomic program. That was one of the goals. We have not been able to achieve that. He wanted to stop the ballistic missiles program. We have not been able to stop the ballistic missile program. Ballistic missiles are still firing. Many launchers have been lost. Many storage sites have been lost. But the ballistic missile program and the research around it and what would be necessary to attach an atomic warhead to a ballistic missile, that concern is still active. The proxies are still being funded. Hezbollah just redeclared its loyalty to the new Ayatollah. Kataib Hezbollah is still around. It's still making noise in Iraq. The Houthis are still around, and that's actually a lever that the Iranians have yet to pull. Right now, it is the Strait of Hormuz that is being, the big, headline, international passageway that is being targeted. But it could soon also be the Red Sea again, which would further complicate international shipping and force many shippers, many insurance companies to tell these ships, if you don't want to have to spend out of your ass to a point where it's not profitable to ship in the first place, you're going to have to go along the Horn of Africa in order to get your products to Europe. So I'm not looking at this through some cathartic, like, oh my God, the Khomeini funded militias against American soldiers and killed them in the Middle East. I understand why a lot of people hate Khomeini. His death drones have flown over my apartment. I don't like the man either. But if the goals of the operation was to get rid of the atomic weapons, get rid of the ballistic missile program, get rid of funding of the proxies, stop the killing, get rid of the brutality of the regime, I guess you could put that on the same goal. Control the Strait of Hormuz seems to be the new goal. Choose the new leadership. Yeah, that didn't work. They just chose new leadership, and it's the most hardline leadership. This guy, he lost his dad, he lost his mom, he lost his wife, and he lost his son in these recent strikes. So if you want to talk hardline, this motherfucker has every reason in the world to be as hardline as possible, right? Because he has been personally affected by the strikes, as well as being a long ally and deeply embedded within the IRGC. So my question would be, now that we're heading towards 15 billion, 20 billion, we're heading towards these higher numbers for the actual cost of the operation, not to even talk about market cost, when do we say we've actually achieved something? Is it once we get to choose the leadership? Is it once we get rid of the ballistic missiles program? Is it once we get rid of the atomic weapons program? Because I don't want it to be 3 weeks from now, we have dozens of American soldiers dead because we just had another casualty event over Iraq and a refueling incident that likely was deadly because the KC-135 does not tend to be known for its plentiful parachute supply. But at what point do we say, okay, we're going to just say that destroying a lot of ballistic missiles was a victory. We're just going to say destroying a lot of drone factories was a victory. We're just going to say that doing a lot of damage to their infrastructure was a victory. Killing the Ayatollah was a victory, even though now there's a new Ayatollah. And the Ayatollah was 86 years old. He could have had a heart attack. Would that have been an American victory? So my question is it worth the cost, especially when we're loosening screws on the Russians in order to finance that cost, and denying the fact that the Russians are trying to help kill American soldiers right now? And so, do we want to finance the same government that's helping to kill American soldiers? Is that a coherent strategy to move forward against the Iranians? I really don't see where the end game is for Trump, and that's my problem with the operation, putting aside the questions of legality and constitutionality.
All right, thank you so much. And before we turn this open, I do have a bit of local San Antonio news that I need to announce. It is now official. What's his name? Kelly Hall has now won the Democratic Party, spending only $750, won by 3,000 votes, and basically dropped out and didn't know he was on there. So when we're talking about no strategy, this is the Dems in Texas. So why should we trust Democrats with the strategy for Iran if they can't even run a primary correctly in San Antonio? Thoughts?
Well, there wouldn't be the strategy. We wouldn't need to trust the Democrat strategy because what we saw under the last 3-4 year terms of president is the Democrat Party trying to normalize the Ayatollah, normalize trade, desanction, and work with Iran, bringing them into the fold. So they were accepting all these atrocities that were being committed were accepted by the party, and they're saying, just like Clinton did with Assad's father, try to bring them into the fold, try to normalize them, try to de-savagize, whatever the fucking term is. But it didn't work. So the obvious strategy is the people that have been our enemies for 50 years, calling us the Great Satan, funding terrorism around the world, and doing all sorts of bad shit, need to go. These are national criminals. And a lot of European countries are on the same end. I see this as the same war, but Dylan said a bit, but the legitimate question he asked is, what's the goalpost? When do we get to take a victory lap and say we did something? So there's short-term and long-term goals. Completely destroying their infrastructure, 2/3 of their IC-8BM launchers, most of their weapon stockpile. They fired like 10 fucking missiles or rockets the other day. They are depleted. It was just reported today by the Pentagon that they have less than 1,000 rockets left in their stockpile. They're getting decimated. And sure, we can't completely stop them, but we can go in there, do some crazy mowing of the lawn, basically landscape that bitch. And if they try to do it again, Israel goes in and mows the lawn like they were doing in Gaza. We can just keep this strategy up, keep suppressing them. And I mean, for every terrorist killed, maybe another terrorist spawns up. Absolutely, I've heard that. But you're taking the years of experience and years of doing this away from them and just putting another fresh body in their place that doesn't have any of that. You're downgrading them. In the 1970s, these terrorist groups used to be hijacking planes around the world, bombing in other countries. And now they're fucking barely able, like Lebanon shot 100 rockets yesterday. 80 of them landed, or Hezbollah, 80 of them landed in Lebanon. Only 20 even made it over the border. And all of them were shot down. And they tried to time that shit out with Iran. They are completely depleted. Their manpower is depleted. Like, it's over already. We're now attacking the police officers that uphold the Ayatollah and the cleric standards. Like, there's not much left. I think that we're already at the point where we can say we won the war, and now we're just kind of got to keep pressure on until we get the guy we want, or like in Gaza, we get an Arab nation-led solution.
Okay, so I don't want to get too back to basics, but war is an extension of politics. Clausewitz, all that, yada yada. If we're not achieving the objectives that the president set out, then maybe we can set arbitrary new objectives. For example, annihilating the Iranian Navy. I never knew that the Iranian Navy was going to go kill me. I had no idea that they were going to go get me.
Well,
that
I mean,
wasn't
they don't
something
have
we were
much of a
talking
Navy.
about before. Well, yeah, but that's the point. So we're saying now that the new standards of success are no longer, I want to choose the leadership, unconditional surrender, get rid of the atomic weapons program, 0% enrichment, get rid of the ballistic missiles program. And then the new standard is, well, in many ways, we've already won because we annihilated their Navy. Well, in many ways, we've already won because we reduced their missile stockpiles. Okay,
Well,
so we're in the same place we were 12 months ago, where we're kicking the can down the road. And Trump, who on the campaign trail said, hey, don't elect Harris. We're going to go to war with Iran if we have Harris. I am the one who can negotiate a deal. If you want to negotiate a deal, pick me.
So look, I don't I'm not going to disagree with you a ton here. I just think it's more nuanced than that, right? So Iran has a nuclear program because we gave them the reactors and the uranium under Eisenhower's Atoms for Peace project back in like 1956 or whatever, 1953, whatever the fuck it was. Like, so us saying that is the thing that is annoying us is a little odd, right? Because when we take in the totality of the history, we funded Saddam Hussein, right? I mean, we've have a history of doing very weird things in here, based on whatever direction the winds were blowing at the time. Pardon me. And I think the only thing I can see is that Trump finally wants us to quit. Just get the fuck out. Just final battle, final boss, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Just done. And I don't know what that goalpost is. I agree with you. I don't know that we're hitting any of the metrics, but I think the only metric that I really care about is that at the end of the day, the other Middle Eastern countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, the UAE, and the rest of the OPEC countries, Israel, and all of that can govern themselves without us having to be the enforcer. So that I don't think this war is about us beating Iran so much as we don't want to be the enforcer anymore.
Well,
and we have to get Iran into a situation where the rest of those countries can handle Iran without having to lean on us. I don't want to do that, and I don't think Trump does either. And so I think that while yes, it's a sliding goalpost, I don't know which way it needs to slide. All I really want is the 50,000 troops back in the U.S. and us not to be the enforcer. That's a win to me.
Well, let me be. I've heard a lot of questions from many people. Go, what is the plan? We don't know the plan, and I would like to point to an interview that Trump did in 1988, where he said, "If they take one shot at my ships, I'm going to take, if I was president, they took one shot at my ships." This is when he was promoting the Art of the Deal. "I will take the tiny island of Karg from them," which is basically where they ship all their oil out of. So far, there's been no bombs that have hit this island. Do we think this is part of the plan to take over the oil industry in Iran? Is there a reason why we haven't taken it? I feel like it seems like he's trying to control shipping with his move. He got the leads. He's going to start insuring these things. These ships that go through this island hasn't been attacked yet. It's within our ability to take it. Do we think that is the plan to guarantee defense of it?
That's what I was about to get to. As Karg Island is, if we take out their Air Force, which is gone, we take out their Navy, which is gone, we take out most of their long-range capabilities, which are already gone. What the fuck can they do to defend Karg Island, where 90% of their oil trade goes through? Israel could easily take that, and that's it. The regime collapses. They're already in the gutter. Their money's worth nothing.
So when you talk about Karg Island is defended by about 10,000 IRGC soldiers, right? Now, the President of the United States is saying he's operating under constitutional authority, that America was about to be 9/11, that we were about to have some style of attack directly on the United States. Now, maybe 9/11 is maybe being dramatic. Maybe it would be some sort of, I don't know, terror cell or some drone launch. We saw the FBI report from California, but whether that's post-operation, pre-operation, like there was no detail that was actually released to the public about exactly why we had to do this. When we go into Afghanistan, 9/11, we were attacked. We have a clear justification explained to the American public. What exact direct attack is being used to supersede Congress and go after them? I don't know. We're now probably at about a dozen U.S. soldiers dead, about 150 to 160 wounded. If we put soldiers to take Karg Island, because the Israelis are not, I don't know if you think the Israelis would do a military landing or we would do a military landing, but to actually hold and control Karg Island would mean American casualties. And it would mean
wasn't
American
the plan
mentality.
originally for the Saudis and the Jordanians to take Karg Island? It wasn't us that were going to do that.
That might have been an idea, but the Saudis and the Jordanians are hesitant to get this type of involved in this because the Gulf states, a lot of these Gulf states, their infrastructure is right there. When you talk about Israel, they're actually a lot safer from Iran than Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar. They're in range of all the short-range missiles. Israel, they have a smaller supply of long-range missiles, Iran, and Israel has a more complex air defense system. So if you're a Gulf state like Kuwait, where 90% of your water comes from desalination plants that could be targeted by the Iranians, there's reasons as to why you might not want to get directly involved in strikes on Iran or the
They
Karg
have been
Island,
involved
especially
already.
if what Tyler said is true, that if they've bombed Karg Island,
I mean,
the
they've been involved since
Kuwaitis.
the word.
Not Karg Island specifically, no. I think
No,
Qatar
they've
was
been
one of the
involved
first.
they were
Yeah.
involved in defensive operations. They haven't been involved in strikes in Iran proper. And they've been hesitant to do that because they know that their infrastructure is the most vulnerable to Iranian retaliation attacks. And they've already used the majority of their PAC-3 American interceptors. We ended up using, or the Gulf states ended up using, more PAC interceptors in 36 hours than the entirety of their usage in Ukraine over a 4-year period. Right? So when we talk about pivoting to Asia and the supply deficit and the need for Elbridge Colby and Pete Hegseth to lead us to the new munitions dependability standard or whatever the fuck they were talking about, I don't know how this aligns with that strategy of trying to have long-term sustainability and these type of investment. But like these countries have a lot more at stake directly when it comes to their infrastructure. So I don't know if they're going to get involved in bombing Karg Island. And if they do, that is it. That's the big thing. You go after Karg Island, you blow all their energy infrastructure. The Iranian state cannot sustain itself. What's it going to do in response? It's going to go after whatever it can. Desalination plants, where you could have a water crisis throughout the Middle East, is definitely on the table.
Yeah, right now they're putting mines in different fucking areas like the Strait of Hormuz to try to get people not to go through there, just to disrupt trade here. They're literally waging a war on our economy as we wage a war.
That's because
on them.
they're out of. I mean, they're not out, but they're running low on everything else.
They ain't got shit. They just fucking armed up and trained.
The whole time you're
fucking
explaining
six
the reason why the Jordanians and Bahrain and you know, Qatar and all these places won't get involved is, sure, the first, you know, last week that was true, but they're down. You know, the Iranians are you know, starting to scrape the barrel, and the Saudis can afford whatever the fuck they want, right? Like they're not strapped.
Both Qatar and
like,
Saudis have shot at offensively in this.
Yeah, I don't want to make too big a deal about it, but last week I was literally commenting that when would you have thought that you would see literally Saudi Arabia and Israel shooting together at the same time at Iran? Like, in your lifetime, did you ever think that would happen? It wasn't on my bingo card. Like, I got to be honest with you. So the whole thing is that it seems like while we want to just look at Iran, we have to look at the whole region. And I think when you look at the whole region, there's nothing Iran can do. There's nothing. Literally, they're the guy you call the HOA on, and he's sitting there putting that car back up on blocks, but the tow truck's coming. Shit's getting real.
The energy secretary said on CNN that the main priority seems to be right now is reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and that they need to not only reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but destroy Iran's ability to at any point threaten the Strait of Hormuz again.
Sure, and that's a great you know, fiscal thing. You know, it's great financially. It's great commercially, but Iran as a country, I don't think so. And you have it, you know, Dylan. I'm going to appeal to your experience in Ukraine here. You know that if
could I finish my point?
I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought you were on the edge of being. I'm sorry.
No, my point with that is, that's an extremely high standard, is what he's asking for, to make it so that the Iranians, who, by the way, I think Tyler might be muted, to make it so that he's just muted himself. To make it so that the Iranians, who are the Strait of Hormuz, their entire coastline, they're just geographically there. The Somalians, like Somali pirates, not the Somalians, but Somali pirates, have been able to attack international shipping rates just because of their location, despite the fact that they don't have like an air force. There's not like a pirate gigantic navy. The Houthis, with a very small supply of munitions and drones, were able to raise insurance costs enough in the Red Sea that despite the disparity in power between Operation Prosperity Guardian, which was our coordinated response in the region, and them, they were still able to largely continue the operation until its fruition and continue to target shipping. And so when you talk about a country of 92 million people who've built a lot of this infrastructure underground, definitely when it comes to production of drones, which is probably the easiest for them, I just don't think it's that difficult for them to every once in a while just throw a few drones into the Strait of Hormuz, find some old rusty mines or make new ones, drop them in the water continuously if the regime can survive that.
So, and that actually brings it right to the point I was about to make. How long do you think Iran really has before they run out of fucking everything?
A week.
I mean, you were in Ukraine, and they had much better supply lines than Iran has, and people like Ukraine more than they like Iran.
I mean, when you say supply lines, it's not really I don't think it's a question of supply lines. It's a question of like supply starting point, I guess, where the if the factory can't, like, there's no, you have to go from point A to point B. It would be more like if the factory doesn't work, then you don't get the drone.
Yeah. Well, not just drones. I'm talking about even just keeping the lights on is going to become a problem here fairly soon.
So it depends on what the Trump administration decides to do. If the Trump administration decides to go after all their oil, gas, and energy infrastructure and make it so there's going to have to be a massive rebuilding project for whatever comes after,
right?
Dependent upon, are we going to do that? Or are we just going to assume that the next government can do that?
We've done it before. Kuwait comes to mind.
What we're doing right now in Gaza, it really already shows the path. They're taking Arab nations, they're as a coalition going in, rebuilding and overseeing so that Israel, no one wants Israel to do it, including those countries. Even the people that are maybe friendly to Israel's intervention don't want them running their country. The United States doesn't want to do it. We're not good at it, whatever. Maybe we don't have the right culture for them. So the Arab nations, the Saudis, because even in Afghanistan, if you look at the
Saudis will rebuild Iran. That's the plan.
Yeah, hell yeah. The Shiites are, get that out of here. Your little thing, cleric thing is Shiite to me too. So, the Sunnis take over. We're good to go. Like, if you look at Afghanistan, that was the problem. After the Afghanistan government was, Al-Qaeda was toppled and we went in there. After about 6 years, they said they wanted the Saudis to be overseeing them, not the United States. There was a conflict of cultures. So let's just not even try. Let's let the Arab nations rebuild their own nations, oversee their own nations. We get the fuck out of there after taking out the bad guys. Let it reset itself.
I think we're really assuming this, like, when you talk about like government collapse like this, it's not as simple as like you pop out Iran A and then you pop in Iran B.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? Like with the government, there's a decent chance where you take away their ability to fund themselves, and then the government that comes into power next might be more radical than the last, or there is a new government that comes in that is not very stable because they have no money, and then the country starts to fall apart because there's different sections of the country that are ruled by, that are largely of different minority groups and different militias and different areas.
But what you're more likely to get.
Let me let it finish the sentence quick. And if they do clash like that, then there is a problem of terror spillover. I mean, if you have a civil war in Iran, that is not in favor of America's interests, I don't think.
What's unsaid here is these Arab nations are going to be so fucking brutal, and we're not going to care about it because we're not involved in it. It's never going to make its way to our TV, and all that shit's going to get stomped out and suppressed. Sorry, Greg, you go.
Yeah, I think a civil war in Iran, I think, does play our favor because 70% of the populace is.
Wait, I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt you, but I'm sorry, Tyler. That might be the dumbest thing you've ever said. I'm sorry. That might actually be the. I don't mean. I'm sorry. It hit me like a train. It like had delay. I like lagged out actually when I heard that shit. Did you just say the Saudis, who couldn't even fuck up the Houthis, are going to lead a military campaign of repression across Iran and are going to take over in those mountainous regions? Like they're going to get down there with their special forces and take over the country?
No, it's a
Arab coalition is going to do this?
It's a coalition. It's the same ones that are going into Gaza. They basically can
who's leading this? Who's leading this coalition?
I thought it was a panel of 12 different nations representation, and then an American seat as well. I think it is.
All these countries have agreed they're going to put troops on the ground to patrol Iran and like.
Well, that's what they're going to do in Gaza. That's how Israel's going to move out, and they're going to oversee it.
Okay, Gaza. Gaza is a strip of land on the coastline next to Israel, the most powerful state in the entirety of the Middle East that has an atomic arsenal. Iran is a mountainous region of 92 fucking million people across some of the most fucking hard to invade terrain on the planet. Ask Saddam Hussein how that shit went. I'm just saying.
Or Russia.
We backed Hussein against Iran.
This idea we could just copy and paste this Gaza strategy, which has already led to over 600 Palestinians die post ceasefire. Like I would like to see some success in that before we try to copy and paste it to a much bigger model in a war that none of us knew was even going to come around.
Dylan, you're not wrong there, but I think that it doesn't work unless the Arabs police themselves. I really don't. It just doesn't.
Do they?
Look, the whole reason we're in this mess, right? I hope that we can agree on this. The whole reason that we've been at war in that region for 70 fucking years is because our culture is so different than theirs that we can't play by their rules. Like we don't understand it well enough, and they hate us for it, right? Like it's just a constant.
To be fair, we also don't play by our own rules.
Well, we actually don't acknowledge there are any rules. So
if we blow up one of their schools, we just say they did it.
Well, and when they blow out an airliner out of the sky, they say that nobody.
Yeah, they blew up a Ukrainian airline. I'm just saying, like that to them matters very little.
Speaking of the school thing, I've seen conflicting reports that it was Iran that accidentally messed up and blew up their own school.
It's definitely not true, Gibbs, but I mean that's a cool report.
I mean, I could find the source.
Either way. So, but bottom line is that the Arab states have to, whether you think they can or not, whether you think the princess Saudis are going to be able to go run those mountains and root out the Iranians or not, it has to be that way. Because otherwise, all it ends up with is it just reboots back to the U.S. and the French and the English and every damn body else going over there to keep to keep this region under some sort of stability. And all that's going to do is another 70 years of Americans dying where they ought not die. And I honestly don't give a shit about anything else. Honestly, Saudi Arabia could go through there with the equivalent of the SS and just lace everybody. I wouldn't care. Literally, as long as not one more American died on that sand.
Okay, I would care if we genocided the Iranians in like Holocaust too. I would say that would be bad.
I'm not saying we would.
You just said the SS. I don't know what you thought.
I'm not saying I would, but I'm saying if the Saudis went through there and said you can't, we can't, we're not friends and we're never going to be friends and that's it. I would, as long as not one more American died, I wouldn't care. I'm just tired of American soldiers dying in that sandbox.
Okay,
we have 3 generations.
I hate to be this type of petty bastard. I do want to say, not a single American died during our project to support Ukraine. We now have over a dozen American deaths when it comes to this intervention. So when it comes to like the record of like manage interventionism from a distance to manage so our casualties don't increase, that project has been much more successful, at least from the Biden perspective, than Trump's project on either war.
Okay, but the fact is that Trump didn't put troops there. We've had troops there for 70 years. We've been at war since about, we've been over there in Kuwait and everywhere else since like 1980, like 1985, 1986. And we now have grandfathers watching their grandsons go off to fight the same damn war they fought. And that's why I honestly don't care about Iran. Iran needs to no longer be a problem. Carpet bomb it into a parking lot, do whatever it needs to be done, as long as we just get out of the region. We don't need to be the enforcers anymore. We are the enforcers, and we don't need to be. I agree that what we did in Ukraine, where we were not the enforcer, where we were just basically arms dealers, selling to and providing tech support. Fine, that's cool.
I got bad news for you, buddy. We're headed in the direction now politically where we're unapologetically being the leaders of the world. We are the world's police. We are the ones that put up money for it. We are the ones that maintain global hegemony. Time to stop apologizing for that power. Like, if you look at how the end goal for something like the programs in USAID and this war are somewhat similar. The innocent people that live in the country under these bad conditions, we want to make it better for them. when this war costs as much as USAID cost in just 1 year, maybe we can talk about it, how expensive it is. But at the end of the day, like, we're going over there because they're killing their own people. They are refusing to step down from nuclear weapon policy. They're doing all sorts of bad shit. They've done bad shit to us for 50 years. I already went through that list. Like, they are the most deserving enemy on the planet to get U.S. ire. I don't see, like, okay, I understand that you'd like your goals clear. The goals clear. I would too. The Pentagon reports have been kind of shit. I'll give you that. But can we honestly say that this is a net bad thing at all?
I mean, it depends on how it fleshes out. Look, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to be the fear monger, but this was a war of choice. This was a war. We didn't have to engage in this operation and kill the Ayatollah. This was a decision that the president made. There was not, as far as I could see, a immediate attack that was going to happen on the United States. And so we do have to judge whether or not, if we could have just, because sometimes standing back and standing by, you can end up watching your quote unquote enemies float down the river.
I like
think in this
Jesus,
instance, you got to know, did we get closer on the atomic weapons question? Did we get closer on the ballistic missile question when it comes to a solution, not degrading the lawn? I don't think everybody wants to endlessly quote unquote mow the lawn, which is bomb the country relentlessly every few years. When we say
it sounds nicer when I say it.
It does sound nicer, but I'm trying to be less nice
Dylan,
about it because the government right now doesn't want to admit to
what
its
if
own war crimes.
so I've seen reports that now the Iraqi Kurds and like some back militias by them are talking about it today. What if we supported a moderate force like the Kurds to, like, you know, help take over? Would that be preferable to, like?
I mean, that's effective.
Well, I would like the Kurds to survive, so no.
You don't think we can help them survive? Yeah, you don't think we can help them survive?
Because what we're talking about is the Kurds.
They do get screwed every time.
Would have to be the PUK, which is like half the Peshmerga, like one specific political party in Kurdistan, like regional government. The other one's actually more aligned with the Iranians, so that you might actually confuse people. But that group does not have the power to do anything besides distract Iranian forces, probably make them so they have to put a few IRGC units in the area. If they were really, like, really were to fucking go ham and try to get their attention. There's not really a way for them alone to do anything. It would have to be a lot. The situation would need to deteriorate immensely. There would need to be other people involved, and we would need a long-term coordinated air campaign with them. It would take a lot more than what's currently on the
You don't
table.
think we could do like we did with the Yazidi women and like get a bunch of the Iranian women to form militias and fight like we did with the Yazidis in Syria? You don't think that's possible?
So I got to ask Dylan. It just seems like. Sorry, I thought you were done. It seems like you're not acknowledging that all of these countries have more or less agreed to work together to deal with the Iran problem. Now, there's no
not in this way.
Yet. Well,
most of the Gulf states feel they're getting pressured into a war. If you talk to their diplomat or read the reports from their diplomats, they essentially think.
Well, I would say the same thing at this point.
The United States wants to wear down their PAC-3 interceptor supply, so they feel compelled to join in the air campaign, directly striking Iranian targets, because there's a basic strategy of it's always cheaper to take out the archer than it is to continuously shoot down arrows.
Okay, sure. But would you not agree that the issue with Iran that we're having right now is not it's not that we decided randomly to go to war with them, and you made a statement earlier that it was just like we became aggressive towards them, but is it not?
I said it was a war of choice specifically.
The Ayatollah didn't he declare war on the United States before we even did anything? When they were trying to negotiate to, kind of.
I don't remember the Ayatollah declaring war on the United States. I would also put great hesitation and immediately like reading too much into like the red flag or black flag or or Prince purple flag of revenge that gets raised up among the different bill. Like a lot of you listen to the Russians talk about the war, you listen to the North Koreans talk about the war, like how much of it's domestic messaging and like foreign policy messaging. I didn't see any signal leading up to this that indicates that they were immediately going to attack us, and Trump has yet to provide any evidence of that. In fact, the Omani diplomats that were working in between us, coordinating negotiations, said that there was more progress in the hours leading up to the initial strikes. No clue if that's true.
Nah, I don't think that's true because literally even after the attack began, the Ayatollah was actually releasing statements saying that you don't know what we have. We have weapons you've never seen before. We're going to put the Gerald R. Ford on the bottom of the sea. All of that's now, come on, man. Like,
come on, what?
He declares war. He says out loud. By the way, he is the supreme leader of the. Hold on. He's the supreme leader of the country.
I don't know what that means.
He is the supreme leader of the country. There's no Congress for him to talk to. There's nobody to talk to. He says to go do this, they do that, and so he's the supreme leader of the country. And he says we're at war with the United States. We're going to put the Gerald R. Ford on the ground. We have weapons you've never seen before. We are not playing with you guys anymore. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here. I'm kind of rolling things along here, but that in and of itself means that we're not the aggressor. We were the ones that were trying to negotiate a deal so that literally the Arab states, I think there's 8 of them, 7 of them. Tyler will know. He's probably got a note on it. But
62. 62 Arab nations in the world.
But no, I'm talking about the ones that were going to coalition and become basically fulfill our role as enforcer in the region.
Yeah, the Abraham Accords hopefuls, about 8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. And Iran just doesn't want to be part of it. They don't want to play at all. I don't even think I don't even give a shit. Why do we care about them having this nuclear capability when we gave it to them? That's just a political talking point to me.
Well, I mean, we were fine with civilian enrichment, but we were not necessarily fine with atomic enrichment. And that was also when the government was much more amenable to us.
Sure.
That was before the Islamic Revolution.
Political talking point. Yeah, I agree.
I think that the Islamic Revolution had an interest in getting an atomic weapon, but the Shah did not, as far as I was aware. Did the Shah have an atomic weapons program?
I honestly don't pay attention to.
I don't believe so. So I think that would be the major distinction: is that there might have been a civilian program versus the actual weaponization.
Well, the Shah was also beholden to us for restoring him to power until Ayatollah unseated him.
Okay, so it started under the president that died recently in the strikes. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Oh, he's the one that started the nuclear program. So I think it was only within the last 15, 20 years.
I want to answer the question about were we the aggressors? Yeah, I think in this instance, there's a good case to say that we're aggressing. Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the rhetoric, but if China was to put its aircraft carriers off of its hypothetical aircraft carriers off the coast of California,
right,
and the president was to start saying statements like, "We will send the Bing Shilling aircraft carrier to the bottom of the sea. We will send the fucking whatever, whoever their big person is, their new, whatever they name their aircraft carrier on, we'll send it to the bottom of the sea." That is strong rhetoric, but it's strong rhetoric because our government can clearly see that they're putting military assets in the region. They're trying to threaten us. We're trying to react steely, and we're trying to scare them off from doing something, which is what I assume the Iranians were probably doing as we were putting our military assets in the region.
I think you're being
very generous. Let me go through a little list.
Did you think that the Iranians were going to strike first?
No, well, they in a way they have. They just tried to assassinate multiple politicians, including Trump, within the last year and a half. But the reason why we moved when we did
that's different than a massive military assassination.
Yeah,
there's two different.
I go with Rubio. That's just them being aggressive toward us. Is all I'm saying. I go with Rubio on why we did it. The reason why we did it because we were coordinating with Israel, who has every fucking right in the world to hit Iran. Iran coordinated a 7-front attack against it and went to war with them without any preempting at all, while during have ceasefires with all these nations. So Israel has every right in the world to attack Iran. We are aiding our ally, 1, and 2, we're destroying their short-range missile capabilities, and if we allow them to build, we'll make it more difficult for us to mow the lawn later. This is what Rubio said. Trump, again, I can't defend him because he talks out of both sides of his mouth on every fucking subject, and then whatever side wins, he says, I was right all along, ignore everything else I said. He does the St. Huger. So, like, you can't really, I don't really take him at his word. I don't take him literally, or I don't, take him seriously. I look at what his administration's saying.
I do want to throw out there that if the goal was, like, if we set a clear-cut goal, and we said, our goal is to do a thing. We're going to take out their ballistic missile program. And then our campaign with the Israelis targeted the ballistic missile program. Then it would at least be like a segmented off goal. Our goal was everything. Our goal was anything that ends up falling out of the piñata. That's what it felt like. If the government topples, great. If fucking we kill the Ayatollah, great. We got a scalp. If we did this, we did that. That's what it felt like. Which then, if you're from the
yeah, but that's not the reality, though. The strikes against the leadership were targeted.
I think that was the reality. I really do think that the Trump administration felt like they were on a roll after Delcy Rodriguez, and they wanted to copy a similar style or more expansive strike campaign that kind of centered in something similar, where it was going to be more expansive since it was coordinated with the Israelis, but they wanted something similar. I mean, he said he wanted to choose the next leadership of Iran, much in the same way that he was involved in what ended up happening in Venezuela post Maduro. I think he wanted to continue that role. So it's just
let's back up a second, because you said something that you're saying two things, and only one of and while both can sort of be true at the same time, only one of them is accurate. Trump doesn't determine targets. He doesn't he doesn't coordinate military strikes. That's done by somebody else. And our strikes were very effective in the first 8 hours. I mean, like all the targets that we wanted to hit, we hit. And I mean, you can say what you want to say, that it just seems like he's flailing about, but I disagree. I think it was all very carefully thought out for at least the first day. Warfare is unfortunately very fluid, and so you adapt as you go along, right? So we did take out the missile assembly factories. We did take out most of the leadership. Not all of it. We, obviously we wanted 100%. What did we get? Like 80% of their leadership. Okay, that sucks. We would liked a perfect score, but whatever. But to say that he's flailing around and with no agenda, I think is just not.
I think
let me. Okay, can I? Tyler, you can go, and then I'll.
It's quick. It's quick because I think you're actually diagnosing it correctly. What I think is that's the intent. So if you look at the lead up to this, there was like a 2-month long will he, won't he, love hate relationship thing going on with Trump and attacking Iran, while he was openly talking about trying to negotiate with them. And I think really their goals are not being stated for that same reason of we don't want to vocally tell Iran what our objectives are in here. We're just going to keep blowing shit up. But I really speculate that they're going for that yellow cake. They're trying to get in there and get those 3 giant barrels of nuclear materials that cost tens of billions of dollars in 20 years to refine, while killing their scientists, while destroying their facility, basically incapacitating them from redoing this a second time, and then taking all their hard work over the last 2 decades away from them. I think having a picture of Bibi and Trump standing in front of all that nuclear material with their thumbs up is going to be the actual end of the war.
Well, number one, that's saying a lot. You have to really, that's something to achieve. You got to get troops on the ground, pull those out, or get the authorities on the ground to cooperate and get those sources out if you want to do that. So that's going to be quite the goal. As for the idea of flailing, my point wasn't that the attack strategy didn't have oomph to it or didn't have decent enough targets if you wanted to damage Iran, but I think that his end result was kind of a bit like a Kinder Egg, where he felt like he was on a roll. He just got that Venezuela, he got on that Venezuela cush, and he's like, okay, let's keep going. I'm gonna put 20 on black on Iran, and he is fine with taking a strategy, go after the leadership, go after the Navy, go after this, go after that. But if you look around, it's not like all of these are coordinated towards the same goal. Navy and atomic weapon are 2 totally different areas. Air Force and ballistic missiles and proxies, those could be sometimes they're related, but they're also different things. I think that there are a bunch of issues the United States has with Iran that Trump highlighted on the campaign trail when he talked about the JCPOA, the ability for them to get an atomic weapon, the fact that there was a sunset provision in the JCPOA, which bothered a lot of people, myself included. There was a problem with the support of proxies, problem with the ballistic missiles, problem with how the government goes, and the fact that, you know, there's a lot of the diaspora that supports in the Republican Party, and they want to call to that support. And so I think he basically looked at it like, let me take a swing. Maybe I'll get one thing, maybe I'll get another. And that's why you hear him talking about basically anything, because then whatever he pulls out of the hat as an end result is success.
Also, quick trivia.
I gotta be honest.
Cocaine.
That reach,
there's a type of cocaine called yellow cake as well, by the way.
Swimmer. That's a hell of a reach right there.
Yeah, I was looking.
I really think that's it. I'm not trying to.
I understand. It's just it's a great reach, man.
But he said everything. He said he wanted to pick the leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they picked a new leadership, and now they just stopped talking.
The war ain't over,
right?
baby.
Well, they're just going to bomb that guy too.
Over, you have new leaders that are more hardline than the last leader. Like
I can give you other examples of Trump being very vague with what his goals are and things, not really getting much out of them and taking a victory lap, because like a lot of these trade deals that he's getting almost nothing besides them accepting
British
the
trade deals. Great example.
Yeah, he's taking a victory lap. Look at all these things they did, and very little has
Hold on. The British trade deal has been fantastic for Texas ranchers. I just want to throw that out there. Also, when you said yellow cake, I thought we were about to invade Colombia, but that's unrelated. Sorry, go ahead.
I guess my point isn't that there isn't any thought to the strategy put into it. It's just I think that Trump, if he gets any result, it's a result he can sell, and he's a marketer and he's a salesman.
Yeah, he's no different than any other politician.
Yeah, so I think that when it comes to the goals, that's why I'm so interested in the goals, because I think Trump might not exactly, he might know that there are a bunch of goals. He doesn't know which goal he'll end up at.
So that's interesting. So I guess this is an interesting complaint, and that some people on the right that are like super extreme MAGA have used as a pro, and I don't always buy it, but sometimes I do. Is the strategic ambiguity, and I brought up the 1988 interview where Trump talks about Carg Island, and I found, you know, by just reading his fucking books, that he's not as hard to predict as a lot of people think he is, right? Like, because he'll say like little things and kind of hint at these goals, like. Are y'all of the opinion that he had? You just said you think. Dylan just said this something interesting right here. He says he's got a list of goals and he doesn't know which one he's going to arrive at. I don't actually totally disagree with that assessment. Is it bad to have strategic ambiguity if you actually know the goals behind the scenes? I know one of my complaints my grandmother used to make.
There's nuance here.
Yeah. But one of the complaints my grandmother used to make is that now the news tells us everything, and she said we don't always need to know what these leaders are doing. And I don't know if I agree with that. But I think there is some usefulness to the strategic ambiguity. What are y'all's thoughts here?
See, this is the thing, Gibbs. I didn't say that that's always a bad thing. That
right, you didn't say that.
Sometimes work in the business world, and that can even, on rare occasions, work in foreign affairs, where essentially you go up, you pressure somebody, and you just wait for them to give you something, and you walk away, and in a year you come back and you read and you do it again. He has that strategy with the Europeans all the time. I think it's hostile. I think it damages relationships. I think in the majority of instances it probably had bad results, but sometimes it has good results. In this case, I don't like the vagueness because there's no way to really judge his performance afterwards by his own standards, because he keeps setting different success modules that change overnight, whether it has to be with choosing new leadership, getting rid of the atomic arsenal. Like, if this ended tomorrow, would we say that destroying the Navy and reducing their ballistic missiles was enough of a victory, considering the rhetoric he engaged in? How will those on the ground in Iran react to the American president after giving so much rhetoric? Your time is soon, your time is coming soon, the revolution shall take over. And then he just walks away because he was able to get something slightly better than the JCPOA or got rid of their Navy.
But I mean, it just seems like you're being incredibly, like, not obtuse. It's not really the right word, but it's like goals change constantly. Like, you're basically saying that once Trump says something, it's locked in stone. And if he doesn't achieve that, or if he reevaluates, or if he just says something very ambiguous, and we get something close to that somehow that's wrong, and we shouldn't do it because he was just kind of, you know, and actually, that's honestly the way it all is supposed to work anyway, right? Like, for President Trump to say, Tyler, you're going to train up and you're going to go conquer Iran, and we're going to make super soldier program out of you, and you're going to do that. And Tyler doesn't go and do that because he fails the super soldier program because he's Tyler, right? So then it would be like, well, fuck, Trump let us down. He made this very specific claim, and he didn't do it. But maybe Tyler was ruse the whole time, and really it was Gibbs who's been working out like a beast, and he's going to go destroy Iran.
But that would still be Trump's fault for misjudging Tyler as a strong man and not a weak little boy. That would still be Trump's failure.
Well, again, I just feel like you're being a little bit disingenuous. Well, maybe more than a little bit, but look,
I'm really not trying to be. It's not that I don't think that there's. For example, I said early on that I thought the most likely off ramp was that they would agree to some amount of either civilian or medical enrichment. Mm-hmm. But it would be better than the JCPOA because they'd get rid of the sunset provision, which is probably the easiest area for you to wiggle around if you're the Iranian government anyway, right? That was what I said earlier on. That's what I thought during the negotiation period before the hostilities commenced. And I don't think that'd be a bad thing. In fact, I would actually think that would be slightly better than the JCPOA, slightly more stable. But when the president's standards keep changing, when we go from revolution, I want to pick who the government is, we're getting rid of the atomic program, we're getting rid of all of this, to, well, we destroyed the Navy, which I didn't even mention before. There's no way for me to judge.
But the war is not over.
How do I judge the president?
Yeah, the war is not over, though.
Well, you judge it based on
the new guy could literally. The new guy could walk out of his steel barracks or whatever, his armored cave tomorrow and catch a missile to the face, because that's what we do. And then we get to Trump. Are you going to then say, "Well, yep, Trump was right. We get to pick the new government"?
Also, Iran already.
Well, no. If we get to pick the new government, then we get to pick the new government. Not if they just choose another Ayatollah after that. Well, I said that what he could do is he could basically keep re-rolling the leader. Just like, I didn't like that. Let me roll again. Let me roll again.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right.
Let's go.
I said this on my stream like
I played this game before.
That I think that 33% chance that's just going to be Trump's strategy, just constantly re-rolling. And that might work until you end up not able to do it the fifth time. And then you find out that you re-rolled to the most radical motherfucker there. Like, you bring back the old Iranian president. What was his name? Ahmadinejad becomes the fucking Ayatollah or some crazy.
He's dead.
You never know.
I mean, look.
Ahmadinejad's dead, by the way. But also, just to go off of.
I saw pictures of him alive.
No, they confirmed. I think the Iranian government confirmed.
When did they confirm that?
I'll find it for you in a second. But
that's what I heard it yesterday was confirmed.
Yeah, I think. But also
yesterday. Okay, well, I saw pictures of him like a week ago, so I don't know.
But they said that their newest Ayatollah has been injured or whatever, and then to confirm him, funny thing, they had him a cardboard cutout of the guy in front of like 40 mullahs or something.
People were kissing it and shit.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the effectiveness of the regime being taken out. Do we like, how long do we think this is sustainable? Because before there's intelligence reports coming out that said there's no possible way we could take out the regime. Like, they're gonna just put people back in, middle management will like put somebody back in. But now
they told us.
Yeah, but now it seems like their effectiveness of choosing leaders has become quite impaired. Do we think that there is something to this, or do we think they're going to be able to put people indefinitely?
Let me answer the last question first, because I got left out because lovebirds kept going back and forth. Your question was about ambiguity being good or bad, and sometimes in war, absolutely, it gives you the element of surprise, but it really affects something on the negative level, which is confidence, and consumer confidence is a big thing. This war made gas prices spike up to the 2023 levels when they were pre-pandemic levels. The stock market dropped 5%, and people don't like that shit. That makes bad economy. Economy is still the number one issue to economy and inflation to like 50% of voters, if not more. So that's the Achilles heel he has to worry about going on these fucking ventures in the Middle East. Is the economy at home is not doing that good. It's slightly better than 2024 by most metrics. Slightly. So if anyone wants to jump in on the next question.
On the economy thing, I just want to say that originally we heard we were ahead of schedule when it came to this operation. I don't know if anybody remembers that initial speech, but by the way, I have to say very complete is the only thing that could possibly be more embarrassing than mission accomplished if it blows up in your face. I do want to put that on the record, okay? That the war is very complete. If it's not very complete, that's not great. But then we went from 3 to 4 weeks, then it was 4 to 5 weeks, then we heard 8 weeks from Pete, and then I heard something about it possibly going all the way to September and the longer estimates of like a really, really long time up until November. If it lasts that long, that will be a detriment for Trump in the midterms. He can try to, people have this idea that if you're at war during president, that necessarily benefits you. Not if that war is one that you haven't explained to the American people. Not if that war, since of the style of how it was launched, you didn't have the time to explain it. You haven't convinced the majority of the American public. You have even sections of your base that are not particularly too happy about it. And so I do think if it long term continues to have like $1 up on energy prices, it's going to end up fucking them in the midterm, which is something I know the Iranians think about. They think about how to use their democratic system against us. They did it against the Biden administration, and now they're probably going to do it against the Trump administration, trying to use the election time as a weapon against our administration to try to tangle up and smear our decision making.
I think they're going to be rebuilding their nation for a while after this, so I think this put a serious fucking dent into them.
I mean, yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, as for the reconstitution of their forces, their model of command right now is incredibly decentralized. Their command and control is pretty shot. And so it seems that they've come to the decision that different IRG's commands will be localized, which not only will probably help them when it comes to suppression and keeping the country under the flag of the Islamic Revolution, but also means that if the Ayatollah was to die tomorrow, that means that IRGC localized command could continue firing off drones, rockets, or continuing whatever operations that are required of them.
It's becoming
this is also a risk because we've seen 2 Iranian missiles go towards Turkey. We saw something go all the way towards Azerbaijan, and these countries asked the Iranian president, "What's going on? We haven't done anything." And their response was,
well, Azerbaijan's threatening to invade themselves now. I saw the other day. They said they keep like
the reason why I think what's going on here, what I think's going on is that they have lists of targets of locations of American bases and works with the United States in the region that are pre-war lists for disaster scenarios. Then the Ayatollah dies. Then command and control gets shot. So then all these localized, loyal IRGC commanders go to these pre-war lists and end up launching missiles at different countries that the presidency and the new Ayatollah might not be a huge fan of. And this adds an extra layer of risk and uncontrollability, because what if one local commander decides this desalination plant deserves a strike in response to that, and it leads to Kuwait losing 90% of its water supply?
You just brought up Azerbaijan, and I know I can't remember think of the country off the top of my head they just got out of war with, but the Iranians launched a missile at that airport where were part of this big, what they call the Trump corridor, where he's like pushing his big Middle East push thing and getting all his like minerals or whatever from them. And I'm a little hazy on all the exact details from the article I read, but Azerbaijan I saw was like, well, they backed Trump pretty hard on this one. And they're saying they might invade, right? They have a pretty good military. Then with the Kurds, would we be okay with like a foreign power backed by the U.S. actually invading and taking over like parts of Iran? Like, would that be a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing. And Israel can do it. Right now, they're just going at it right now.
I don't think Israel can do it. They don't got enough troops or the proximity.
No, they got enough. They don't need the troops. There's no way they can fight back, especially if they go to Karg Island. It's just there's nothing they can do.
I also think that while the decentralization of the troop structure, which is basically turning this into a guerrilla warfare, right? Because they're little individual sects of troops. That has its pluses. Dylan was very accurate in what he said, but it also has its drawbacks. And one of those drawbacks is that they're smaller and they can be more easily taken out or engaged by smaller forces, such as Dylan said, the Kurds. He's correct about that. The Kurds would be very effective in that type of warfare. As would the Kuwaitis. They kind of want a little payback against Iran at this point. And I mean, I think that you guys are the thing that you're missing is that it's not us against Iran, it's Iran against fucking everybody. Like, that's the real thing that we keep missing here, is that I don't honestly, I just want to get to the point where we just walk out and let the rest of them, just let the rest of the guys. It's like starting a bar fight, and then you just walk out the door. And I think that's kind of what we've done, and I hope that's what we do. I hope that we just walk out the door and let things progress naturally. Dylan, I mean, I get where you're at. I understand most of the points you've made. While some of them I think are quite a stretch and quite a reach, and I've said so. But I think the one thing that you just constantly kind of push aside is the fact that it's not us against Iran. It's literally everybody in the region and us against Iran. And if Iran keeps going, it's going to be Iran against the French, Iran against the Germans. And honestly, they're starting to piss the Chinese off. So, I mean, when you are a nation state that's only 15% larger than Alaska, and you're pissing off most of the world, you probably don't have a lot of leverage in any particular direction. I don't know how you feel about that. I'd love to hear it.
If that's true, that they're pissing off everybody, and I do agree that most of the region is not too friendly with Iran. If that's true, though, then why is it our responsibility to expend our stockpiles that are desperately needed in the Pacific, that I was told by the Undersecretary of State that, and all those people from Elbridge Colby to Pete Hegseth, that the supplies of these munitions were so low and we needed every single one for the Pacific. And now we, even though they're making fights with everyone, we're saying let everybody else fight them. Okay, then let everyone else fight them. If Israel says they're going to engage in an air campaign against the Iranians, why do we not just, okay, that's Israel's job. Why is that our job? If what you're saying is true, everybody hates the Iranians, outside of it stopping them from getting an atomic weapon, which of course is a standard for all nations to uphold, why is this our utmost priority? Definitely in comparison to when it comes to cost. I saw the Treasury Secretary said there is no cost that is too high for this war, which is quite a crazy statement.
Our job is the world police. The same thing driving us here is the same thing driving us to fund and back Ukraine.
Yeah, this is what
this is a Western democracy versus
what Tyler and I argue about all the time. We are not the world police, and he thinks we are.
Yeah,
you think we're bringing democracy to Iran?
No, I think we're preserving democracy in both cases from two nations that were attacked by evil power. One of them was invaded. The other one kind of made them clap and catch them hands.
I don't know how Israel, it's not like Israel was about to get invaded by Iran. Israel has an atomic arsenal. Israel fought the 12-day war. It was pretty effective. They have been able to show their ability to get over and control Iranian airspace. I just don't understand why, because they engage in an air campaign, we necessarily have to, if they're picking fights with the rest of the region already, especially if we're avoiding Congress to do it. We're just unilaterally saying, we were going to be attacked, so boom, let's go.
That's just what our foreign strategy is to back people, our allies in regions when they're fighting with. And again, the 12-day war was when Israel attacked Iran. It was only 12 days because the United States said it's time to end this, our polling numbers are bad, and Israel's forced to pull back. They wanted to do significantly more. But the reason why we're backing them up is, again, the same reason why we're backing Ukraine. When one of our allies, a Western nation that believes in democracy, a secular nation, by the way, that is very pro-Western rights, the most in the area, who's also a valuable ally that keeps that Strait of Hormuz safe, that gives us a staging point in the area, when they get attacked by 6 proxies, all trained by, funded by, and coordinated by Iran, as well as Iran on top of it, this is what happened. So they've gone through systematically, they've taken out Hamas. They're in phase 2 of they finally just moved to it like a week and a half ago. Phase 2 of the peace deal, because Hamas wasn't returning the corpses to get them out of phase 1 and then still charging the yellow line. That being said, Lebanon, Hezbollah is getting decimated right now by Israel, and Lebanon is now making the strongest statements they have about getting them out of the government and disarming them completely. The Houthis completely destroyed in Yemen. We bombed the shit out of them. The Yemeni government's now fighting them and taking them out as well. All these proxies went down one by one by one.
Most of this was stuff that's pre this large-scale attack.
Yes. Yeah, and now it's time for the head of the snake to go down. It's time for the masterminds behind the attack.
So let's just put
Tyler's
the standard.
point,
The only way that this success is if the Iranian government's gone.
Hell yeah.
To Tyler's point, though, I mean, even at this point, look, Iran has pissed off so many people that at this point, even the Taliban are on our side. I mean,
yeah,
come on. Like, that's crazy, right? Like,
So-
like even the Taliban wants Iran to be like fucked up. Like
Well, hold on.
they don't, you know, how? I mean,
Well, hold
what
on,
a world
hold
we
on.
live
That is not okay. Listen, that may be somewhat true. That is a gross
Somewhat true.
mischaracterization of what has happened with the Taliban. For the
Right,
record, the Taliban is only on our side, one, because they hate Iran, and they're only
Yes.
they're cutting the water off from them because they need the water more. And then
Right.
they also don't like Pakistan. I don't know that this is maybe an enemy of our enemy is our friend situation, but I did want to come back to something you said earlier. You said, and I've said this a few times, the balkanization of Iran would be not necessarily a bad thing for us. What would that look like? Because I'm sitting here thinking about it. Now, and Azerbaijan, right? The Azerbaijanis, or however you say that word, there's what, 16 to 21% of the largest ethnic minority. The Kurds have a pretty close region next to their little border. Would they be carving this up into different groups? Would the Taliban come down south and take part of their area? Like, would we want this to happen? Like, is that going to be an optimum if we can't pick a leader? Like, what is the alternative if we don't get the leader we want? What do we see happening?
By the way, I do want to throw out there that the motivation for supporting Ukraine and supporting Israel can be quite different. And definitely when it comes to, you know, recognition of people's territory, recognition of certainly the fact that what started the war is very different. Israel illegally attained a nuclear weapon. Ukraine gave theirs up. So I think like the motivation, and it gave it up for us after we asked them and said we'd starve them during the heights of the post-Soviet collapse. We said, if you want any food aid as your children are starving and selling their bodies on the street, you have to give up your atomic weapon and your ballistic missiles to the Russians. Don't worry, they won't attack you. So I just want to say what motivates one can motivate another very differently. And I still am very peeved about how the Israelis continue to embolden the worst among them in the West Bank, which becomes a constant source of stress and will be a source of stress post-war. As for, I'm sorry, Gibbs, can you repeat the question? I just wanted to make
in summary, so we hear a lot of talk about balkanization bad, but what would
balkanization? Yeah, there would be a civil war in Iran's a territory.
Right. Yeah, but what would that? Yeah, but what would that look like? Because I've seen the opposite. Like if the Kurds took a big portion and Azerbaijan took a big portion, you know, and I don't know. I don't think the Taliban can because they're getting their ass beat by Pakistan, who's using suicide bombers in 2025, 2026. Crazy. We got drones now, boys. Catch up. But no, I'm saying like if they're going to be sitting here invading like all these little groups and like taking over like a free-for-all, kind of like Russia did with Ukraine, saying they got ethnic Russians and taking over a portion, like what does balkanization look like? Is it ISIS 2.0? Is it like a bunch of groups, like some moderate, some not, getting different portions? Like is like one of our groups going to go take the yellow cake? What is that going to look like here? What do y'all think if we don't pick a leader or get the leader?
That's actually a good point. If it is balkanized, what happens to the yellow cake if we don't have it?
We get it. We have it. There's no way. They're blowing up Gazan leaders that haven't even gone to their hotel room yet with a planted bomb there waiting for them. The intelligence they have inside of Iran is insane. I guarantee you they know where that shit is. They're working on getting it. That's going to be out within a week, and that'll be the victory lap.
Can you make I want to put money down that it'll be out within a week? Want to put money down?
I don't know. I was kind of talking up my ass there. Maybe within how about 2 weeks?
You know, I respect. You know what? I was talking out my. I respect it. 2
weeks. I'll go 2 weeks.
Go 2 weeks. Sure.
I put $50 on 2 weeks.
It's not that I don't believe that they don't know where it is. It's just putting troops on the ground in Iran. Trump has certain political instincts where he knows that headline alone will do immense damage to the man who campaigned as the pro-peace president. Like that. Whether or not they put their boots on the ground for a moment. Like boots on the ground in the Middle East, in Iran, after there's been multiple American soldiers' deaths. Like it's just something he does not want for his brand.
You think so? Even if he got in and out, you think if he got in and out, let's say like I don't know, we have SEAL Team 6, John Wick.
If he was able to actually take it off, just grab it, get out of there, and nobody died, nobody got, then you know what? Americans would probably get behind it for the simple fact that they like quick wins. And they always do, like quick wins.
Right. Yeah. I was kind of curious. I mean, I think that'd be impressive if they did. But what were you saying, Grit? I apologize. I cut you off there. Go ahead.
No. I was actually going to be kind of along the same lines. I mean, like, what if they just go in like they did Maduro?
Yeah, we like our quickies.
Yeah, everybody likes a good quickie.
Yeah, a little quickie.
But,
yeah, so like, Yeah, but so what do y'all think that, like, so if we don't have, do we get, like, if it does balkanize, like, are y'all saying, like, because I still don't think we really talked about what that would look like what groups would come to power? Would it be, like, the Zoroastrian? Would it be the Azerbaijanese? Like, I've, like, heard a lot of, like, predictions, and I haven't really heard anything that I've, like, really bought into, like, what that looks like, right? Like, you know, I'm kind of interested. Then what groups would we want to be moving in and taking the yellow cake? I don't particularly want the Kurds, you know, even though I like the Kurds quite a bit, to go in there and get the yellow cake. You know, I don't want that. I don't necessarily want Azerbaijan to get it because, you know, I think they're probably corrupt as it comes.
The Kurds
like
in
what
Azerbaijan, that's in the like way like
Future.
west of the country, and it's not likely near
Right.
where these facilities are or where these materials are, and they're not going to be able to carry out offensive operations to get all the way to where those facilities are. So I don't think it'd be practical for them to get them on foot through ground offensive operations. Also, the areas that both the Kurds threw around, I mean, Saddam Hussein, they would have to use the same routes that Saddam Hussein did to invade Iran. And I mean, good luck with that shit. I mean, and then when you talk about the Azeris, it's going to be through the mountainous regions as well. If they were supported by an American air campaign, maybe it would go better. But how long can America sustain a air campaign to try to like topple the government? It's just such a crazy scenario, and I have no confidence in its success because I have no metrics to grade it off of because we've never done something like this before. Not in a country like Iran.
Israel. Israel is flying in about 200 planes a day, none of which have been shot down yet because they have no air defenses or air force left. Right. And they're hitting about 200 to 500 targets every time they bomb over. They've already hit a couple thousand. They're blowing up all sorts of shit in the country. At this point, they're attacking, again, the I can't remember their name off the top of my head, the police that are teamed up with the IRGC that keep everybody in line with what the Shah wants.
Was the Bashir militia? Is that what it was?
Yeah, Basaj or something like that. I can't. Yeah, and like fucking, they're even getting blown up at this point. At this point, they're going for every congregation of people that would be loyal to this old style of government. And this isn't. I can't give you a balkanization answer because I don't think that's very likely to happen. Not only is it just unlikely generally, but like it's unlikely in this nation that just a few decades ago was a civilized civilized modern nation. Yeah, that it could easily go back to. There's a ton of people there that aren't fucking extremists.
Let's not oversell that. I mean, Iran was a civilized, westernized nation in the fact that there were cities that were that way, but it was still largely a bunch of nomadic tribes that were, and the whole reason that the Ayatollah was able to achieve power was that those tribes who were mostly fundamentalist backed the Ayatollah because they, in their eyes, and they were right, I think. Especially the French were exploring and buying or making deals with the government for oil rights and mineral rights to large portions of the desert. And, they didn't like it. And they said, fuck those guys. We're going to kill them all. And they pretty much did. They killed a lot of French, a lot of Germans, a lot of Americans. So, and we helped them, to be honest with you. The CIA was there to make sure that we had a large stake in that oil exploration.
So I guess this is interesting. So like we talk about Western democracy and stuff, and I know a lot of people argue there's a war for oil, and I mean I think somewhat it is, like it's a war for the petrodollar. Should we be starting wars, especially in the Middle East, to like guarantee our economic supremacy? Because I hear a lot of MAGA people going, no more wars, but that's kind of antithetical to America first, and then obviously people that aren't like pro, America hegemony or fucking America first, they're also against some of these wars in the Middle East. Like, do we not think we want to continue protecting the petrodollar? What is the alternative then in these regions if we're not doing that?
To protect the petrodollar, we need that region to settle the fuck down. Like, we don't even get that much oil from the Middle East at this point, especially OPEC. But I think we're like their 7th or 8th customer or something like that. I think they sell. We buy comparatively less oil than others do.
It's more about the global market. When you disrupt the global markets that much, you're going to see it spike. Even if we don't buy it, it makes what we buy more expensive. Yeah.
So I think what we really do want is we need, for the first time in 70 years, we need actual peace in the Middle East, and whatever that looks like, right? Like, they can still fight amongst each other. I'm not, a border war here and there is, that's fine. But what we don't need is we don't need these massive, long long enduring wars where they're sending missiles all over. As Dylan just pointed out, I had heard, but I hadn't actually confirmed that they had actually sent missiles towards Turkey. But I guess if Dylan says it's so, it probably is, since he pays attention to that.
Well, y'all bring up Turkey. I mean, they're not going to let the Kurdish invade Iran. They're not going to be happy about that.
Yeah, that's another can of worms. The Turks are never going to like any idea of an independent Kurdistan on any part of the planet. That's another problem with Balkanization, is if there's an independent Kurdistan that isn't even just a regional government, but an independent country, they think that could be a fire for separatism after the Turkish government, after decades of fighting the PKK, has finally signed some agreement with them that was supposed to bring down tensions. No, they would not be very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like the Kurds, they would absolutely fund PKK, the PKK, and Turkey. I mean, that's what they would do. Like, I know, like, they definitely would talk about expanding their influence. So, like, that is definitely another can of worms. I feel like the Kurds keep getting screwed by the U.S., but that's a whole different topic. But I just
can I ask a question to the room? There has been consideration in this, as if this war continues, because there's a chance it can go on for months for all we know. Trump was considering removing sanctions on the Russians in order to get more energy on the international market. We already saw that he rolled back some of the Indian policy. Specifically, he strengthened fuel, like the vice script going into India, and he loosened it in order to get more fuel on the international market. It was part of the same reason he put the $172 billion out and the $400 billion from the International Energy Agency. It didn't end up doing much. It didn't really affect the markets at all, but he took these moves to try to relieve it somewhat.
Sure.
What do you think about the idea of him going further and just removing sanctions on the Russians in order to stabilize prices while going after the Iranians?
I'll take that first.
What does he get for it?
Hold on.
He gets lower energy prices on the
I'll take first crack at that.
The price per barrel. That's exactly what it.
If it's war ending, I'll take it.
No, hold on. That's not what it would be. Because like one, it would help the Russians, but while it would hurt, Iran, I guess. But like, here's the only reason I can see it doing it. This is actually a problem I have with democracy, and I don't think there's or at least American version. I don't think there's a solve for this. It's because we're ruled kind of by the mob. The people, like, public opinion matters a lot, right? Like I've said, I think if we really wanted to change Afghanistan, it was going to take 100 years. Nobody had the stomach for that. The population's going to leave, etc., like leave the war, like pro side. So when we're talking about with Russia, the only reason I think that he would do that, maybe not the only reason, but the biggest one would be because of the midterms. If he lifted them shortly for the midterms to keep prices down or something, that's something I could easily see him doing. And I wouldn't be a fan of that because Russia is part of this great evil empire, right? And we need to hurt them and China and take them out. And so, yeah, it might be a short-term game. The only reason I'd maybe be okay with that is because I thought the long-term goal would be to fucking push them out. However, yeah, that's a problem. We should not be doing that. Like, we can survive the hurting NATO, now I guess NATO and our token allies, and Europe are the ones who are going to really suffer under that. But yeah, I would not be in favor of that on that first glance. I would probably not like that. I mean, I don't know about y'all here.
I want to give some credit. The Energy Secretary said today that they have no plans to remove the sanctions. Right. That they considered it, but I think somebody probably came to the conclusion that right now, the way that it's predicted, most people haven't been paying attention. I pay attention. The Russians are supposed to run out of their national wealth fund this year. A lot of people don't know that. That's pretty interesting. I don't want to give them any means to replenish it. I want there to be a point where the Russians have to look themselves in the mirror and say, fuck. That's what I want. And flowing more capital into Russia. Is Putin going to use that to improve his health care? Is he going to improve free speech and civil society? Or is he going to buy more bombs? We know what he's going to do. And so if he's doing that at the same time that he's giving the Iranians targeting information against American soldiers, the same time he's helping them improve their drone capacity to help not only attack American soldiers, kill American soldiers who are dying, and he's doing it knowing they're dying, but at the same time, it could be used to attack international energy markets, the markets that not only help be the foundation of America's stability, but also Trump's personal political stability. The idea that was being considered around the same time period, and the rhetoric I heard from Trump was, maybe we'll relieve them, and maybe we won't have to put them back on. The assumption being that maybe we'll get a conclusion so we won't ever have to put them back on. But you could just see somewhere deep in his soul, he really wants to remove those goddamn sanctions. And it really worries me that when he gets in a pickle, he's going to start looking for switches when the midterms come around and his numbers don't improve, and selling out Ukraine and selling out America's national security over his poll numbers. I don't know if he'll make that the choice. I'm scared that he will.
Yeah, like Biden tried to do with Venezuela.
What do you mean he'll try to do?
Yeah, I mean,
exactly what Biden tried to do. He went to Venezuela and he said, "Hey, Maduro, we'll remove some sanctions on you if you start putting your oil into the market."
Yeah, no, the idea was that he would try to fight a deal for you'll have a good democratic election. It didn't work. It obviously didn't work. The only difference is, in Venezuela's case, we're talking about the government mistreating its own people. In Ukraine's case, we're talking about the largest war in Europe since World War II to a state that we told to give up its nuclear weapons.
I do like that you link the two, Iran and Russia, which are very well linked, because Ukraine is also helping Israel in the war effort. They're giving them intel.
I don't know if they're helping Israel, but I know they're definitely helping the Gulf states.
They were giving Israel, in particular, drones that could fight the Shahed drone. They have been
Is
making
it Israel or is it the UAE, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia?
I thought it was Israel.
I think it's
directly.
Saudi Aramco. I know Saudi Aramco is in talks with the Ukrainians to defend their oil fields with Ukrainian drones. And can I just put out there, oh my fucking God, I don't want to put out the biggest I told you so in the world, but 7 months ago, the Trump administration had a meeting with the Ukrainians, and they said, hey, look, the Ukrainians, the Trump administration, we would love to sell you these drones. They shoot down Shaheds. They're really good. They're very effective. They cost about $12,000 a pop compared to your interceptor systems, which all cost sometimes by a magnitude of 100 much more, right? Would you like to buy these systems? Nah, we're not interested in these systems. We're not interested in a trade for our air defense systems, for your air defense systems. Then about a week ago, the Trump administration comes back to them, says, actually, now that we have these drones ramming into our bases across the Middle East, and we have to do it over such a wide area, all the way from Azerbaijan to the tip of Oman, now all of a sudden they have interest, not just the American government, but the largest, I mean, Saudi Aramco is not nobody. I mean, when you're talking about literally the central node of the world's energy economy, and they are asking for the Ukrainians for help for defending their airfields. The Ukrainians have much more cards than the Trump administration gave them credit for.
You're muted.
You're muted.
They're battle testing all this equipment and improving it on the field. Absolutely. But it's the same way that Israel's improving our F-35s. Is it, Grid? Or Gibbs, you keep sending me articles on it?
Yeah. So we have, I mean, that's an interesting point, actually. Like, so, like, Ukraine, allegedly our ally. We know Israel is our ally. You know, when I say allegedly, I don't mean on their part. I mean fucking. You know, you never know what the Trump administration is going to do. So, I like when I was sitting here saying this. I don't know. I think that sometimes it is good to have an ally in a volatile region where you could use your tech and then like the see improvements. Like, I think this helps Ukraine if they can sell weapons to the U.S. Like, it just proves the proof of concept. They have a new industry, and then, listen. And if the U.S. is a financial interest in your country, guess what? We will go whoop that ass for you. So I almost behooves them to like get more in bed with, you know, us and our allies in this manner. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing that they're doing that. Yeah,
they're trying to, but right. I'm very nervous because I want the Ukrainians to show the effectiveness of their technology. I've seen it firsthand, and it's not just as simple as, because some people, they try to go around the Ukrainians. I don't want to talk too much. I've talked to enough people about this, but it's weird that I get approached by defense companies, not little defense companies, known defense companies, because they want to use me as a means to go test their shit out in Ukraine. They want me to get them contacts. And I'm talking about like call in the middle of like, well, who's this number? I don't know who the fuck you are, right? They are deeply interested in getting that technology out there. But once they grab the technology to either test their own or they get the Ukrainian stuff out, what they find is it's not integrated with radar systems. It's not integrated with the communication system. It's not as simple as just having the drone. It's about getting information to the drone, getting information not between the drone, one pilot and the commander, but the pilot, the commander, and every single other drone operator for a 50-mile radius, so they can all see the different points of contact and quickly respond within 30 seconds to a minute, especially if you're talking about fast-moving targets. And so they tried to go around the Ukrainians without the battle-tested equipment, and all they had was a bunch of pieces of junk that could not be used without the wider systems. And so again, even if they tried to steal the card from the Ukrainians, you couldn't. They're the ones with the technological know-how right now. And they can spend the time 3, 4, 5 years trying to develop their own systems. But Ukraine made its systems in a pressure cooker of national survival. That's why it was made much faster. And that's why it was made to such high quality, because they had to do it or their country would not survive the massive kamikaze attacks. There's been over 50,000 Russian, Iranian kamikaze attacks on Ukraine, but they've survived. And that's because of technologies like this. And so I really think the United States should take advantage, make these deals, but not fuck them. And I'm sorry, but if Trump can, he will. He has before, and I'm really worried he will again. If he wants to be partners with the Ukrainians, be on the cutting edge of drone technology, you can't keep asking them to give up land and defensive positions to a country that could very well invade them again in 6 months. You have to work with them as a partner, not that you're just the intermediary. And that's the difference. We need to be their ally, not Oman or Sweden, and just be the guy in between saying, I don't know what's going on. Why don't you just talk it out? Which has not worked.
You're a little bit more than that. Here's $100 billion, but also talk it out too. That'd be good.
Not Trump. Trump didn't give no 100 billion fucking anything.
Yeah,
Trump,
well,
while he was out of office, held aid hostage in the Senate, in the House, and he said, unless you give me immigration reform, unless you stop the invasion on our southern border, then we can't deal with the invasion in Europe. Which was
no, he backed when Mike Johnson approved that through the House, and he was being attacked by
10 months after the Battle of Avdiivka was. I mean, I'm sorry. I felt every month, I felt every day, and I felt that supply dying down. It did have an effect, and I do think it killed people.
Good. Are you saying something? You were moving your mouth there. You're muted.
I was just asking if we were done with Iran now. It feels like Ukraine's balls are properly glazed. So
I needed to. I noticed that they weren't shining.
Yeah, just glaze them right up there. But are we done with Iran?
Well, no, we're not. Before we move on to the Ukraine fully, I mean, we can these tie together. Tyler kind of touched on this earlier. With I know that in the short term, this does strengthen Russia because more oil is sold to China and whatnot than from Iran. But in the long term, if you take out all the allies, wouldn't y'all say this is seems like a long term plan to isolate China and Russia? I mean, especially if Cuba's next. Does this not seem very it's got a plan? Because people keep saying it doesn't have a plan, but it seems like his plan is isolate these major powers by taking out their allies.
I don't think he's seeking to isolate China. I think he's seeking to make Iran the obvious bad guy, so that China doesn't want to deal with Iran's bullshit.
Wait, you think China cares if they're the bad guy?
Yeah, I think publicly their image is very important to them.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Oh,
yeah, they've been backing Iran and China through this whole thing.
Yeah,
the majority of Russia's
their entire city, their economy has gotten so bad since the tariffs that so many manufacturing plants have shut down that they're really pissed off at their government, and the government's a very small part of China. So it's an interesting thing.
They're very libertarian over there.
They are somewhat. They're very capitalistic. I've never in my life seen more capitalistic people than China. If you want to see pure capitalism, go to China. That is the purest capitalism you'll ever see.
Yeah. So owned by the government. Hold on. What?
Are you getting paid?
What?
I'm just wondering if he's getting paid or something. Are you making money? Is Xi picking your DMs?
No, but I do own property in China.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust this guy now. This guy, they are not capitalistic. What the fuck are you talking about?
You talking about
you should go check it out.
You talking about sweeping and glazing through Ukraine? You got
the only way they're actually communist is the government.
Now that Tyler's done insulting the longest running civilization in history, the glorious people of China, I just wanted to quickly say, look, I understand the Iranians are isolated. And you can keep putting up the pressure cooker, but until something falls over, I think we're all getting ahead of ourselves on long-term this, long-term that. If the government's still there right now, and the government could still be there in a few months, then I don't know what has been achieved in the long-term frame. I can understand the idea that if the government topples and then you have something that's more open to the world community and they're trading onto all global markets and not just with the Chinese and other nation states, and they're not working towards an atomic weapon, they're not helping the Russians with like selling certain drone parts or whatever, that this would all be positive, but we got to get there first, and we're still a long way from there. Like everything that we've talked about today, that we've said that is actuality something that has been achieved, has been described as quote unquote mowing the lawn, which is something you have to do regularly. That's why it's called mowing the lawn. You have to come back around, come back around, come back around. So until
I have to use a good weed killer. Use a good
I
weed
think
killer.
there's
so far all we've done is
deterrence.
quote unquote mowed the lawn, right?
Deterrence is a fantastic reason for war as well. I think you don't have to decapitate the regime. You just have to kill enough of them and let them know if you do this shit again, we're coming back and we're going to make it hurt. That's all you have to do is make the incentive for them to attack you so low that they don't ever do it again. A war of deterrence.
I'll go one
Bosnia,
further.
Serbia, Panama. We've done this all over. Even in the Middle East, Kuwait was a war of deterrence. Israel's been waging wars of deterrence. They're not decapitating everybody. Hezbollah still exists, but they're completely decimated, just like Iran.
Well, let's
deterring
expand
future
that. Let's
survivors.
expand that to as we come closer to the end here. Let's expand that. So we've talked about other proxies. The Houthis have basically stayed out of this so far, which kind of surprised me a little bit, other than some token gestures. Hezbollah has obviously gone balls deep, but and I don't want to bring up balkanization again because we covered that in depth. But what do we think about these proxies? What are these proxies going to do? If Iran, the government, doesn't have the ability to support them or send them drones or missiles or give them the funding they do, are they going to die off? Like, this seems it's the weakest Hezbollah has been in decades. Do we see Lebanon leadership changes? Are they going to be pushed out as a party? Or what does this look like with their proxies? What do we think is going to happen here?
They're fucked.
It depends.
I'm going to
which
agree with
proxy.
Tyler.
If we're talking about Hezbollah, probably for two. Number one, they don't have no ally in Syria anymore, and if they have no ally in Iran, there's just too much isolation combined being next to a very hostile neighbor for obvious reasons. I think Hezbollah would probably be in the most difficult position of any of their proxies. If you go to the militias in Iraq, they'll probably try to find new sponsors. Who those new sponsors will be, I do not know. But I mean, I would say a big question mark. They probably not get as much support from Iran, and at the very least, have some short to medium term decrease in supply. When you talk about the Houthis, that's the one that I think will probably deal with it the best. The Houthis did get drones from Iran. The Houthis did get missiles from Iran. But if the Houthis can make cheap drones domestically, then they can essentially repeat much of their previously semi-successful strategies in trying to hold people hostage over the Red Sea. And they have shown unbelievable durability when it comes to the air campaign against the Saudi and UAE-backed operation before they split, and then the American campaign when we did Operation Prosperity Guardian. We did degrade their ability to throw a lot of drones and missiles into the Red Sea, but we never was able to completely stop them or get them to directly submit. We were only able to really get some amount of ceasefire. So I think they would probably be the one that would be most resilient.
Tyler, did you have thoughts?
No, I agree with. But I mean, the Houthis they're all battling against their own government. I just think they'd be fucked. I think maybe, he's probably right that they'd last the longest, but more resilient doesn't mean they ain't going down just like the rest.
I probably agree with that assessment as well.
Iran's always been the source of the weapons, the source of the money, the place they trained, and all of that. So without Iran, maybe they find a slight home in Iraq, but even Iraq is sick of their shit. Like everybody wants to look again. Everybody wants to clean up the neighborhood. They're gonna, that you just got to get rid of this one guy that just shits all over his yard. That's it. Yeah,
let's be clear. When we talk about the Houthis, it's not the same as Hezbollah. It's not just like a political party. It is a tribe. It is a group of people, and it has. So I think that also.
Yeah, it's a cult. It's an ethnic group, not just
it adds more resilience because people will see it as not just an attack on the political ties next to the Iran. They'll see it as an attack on the tribe. See it as an attack on their people. And so for them, they might see it as an existential struggle for survival. And so I would say they would probably be much more resilient. Where the militia shit in Iraq, you can flip from militia to militia, make a new group. It'll be a little bit more difficult there.
Yeah, the Houthis also, they've had the support of Iran, but they haven't had near the support, and they've been they've been fighting for their lives the whole time they've been there and winning. So I could definitely see them being the one that survives. That's probably the reason why they're staying out, because they don't want to waste what techs they got right now. Is what would be my explanation. Is like, if they're not going to pick the losing side in a battle they can't influence, whatever they can use it more efficiently is my guess.
Everybody gets tired of war at some point.
I mean, do they? Like, well, hold on there. Like, it depends. I think there's a lot of people that like war. That like it's good for certain people, like certain groups. Like,
if you're the pro. Oh.
Nope.
Plug the cable in.
I heard it fine. I don't know.
If you're the pro-peace president, you love war.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, what is it? Peace through strength or something, But here,
peace through superior firepower.
Yeah, there you go.
Can I just say how annoying that is to have heard so much concern about the cost, or how much we're spending on Ukraine, how much we're spending on all these U.S. aid programs, and then immediately, not only is he talking about putting the military budget up to 1.5 trillion, I mean, record setting on top of record setting, but I mean, I don't even talk about the recent 3 billion, but you're talking about a military campaign where they're saying the price tag literally doesn't matter. Do the price tags matter when it comes to national defense, or do they not matter when it comes to national defense? Especially when we're talking about, again, one scenario, no American deaths. The other scenario, we're probably like a dozen.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit slightly related before we end this, I think. Trump is saying that the Iranian war has helped prove the need for the new American battleship, which is going to be a lot of new technology. We saw how that worked with the literal combat vessels and how badly those have been quagmire. However, we've also seen with the F-35 where it goes way over budget and then becomes a premier thing we sell. Do we think that this is a real good thing that we're going to do with the battleships? Should we use them to influence the Middle East?
I think our tech is pretty solid. I mean, you look at the F-22, nothing can even. I mean, rockets can't even touch that thing.
Except for Raytheon just gave out all the secrets. By the way, they failed. If y'all didn't know this, Raytheon had a leak, and now China's got all of our info on the F-22 and F-35. So, for once, it wasn't War Thunder. But on that note, let's go wrap up some closings here because we're going to do something else here in a moment. But I'll start with Tyler. What are your final thoughts on Iran? What's going to happen? Give us any closing thoughts here.
I think a lot of Dylan's his concerns are fairly valid. I agreed with a few of them. I just think that they're rather unlikely or part of Trump's strategic ambiguity and things like that. I would like to see some more clear goals as well. The Pentagon's releases haven't been very clear as to what's going on, but it's pretty clear we're dominating at the very least. I would like to see us seize their materials before we leave there. Hopefully we do. And at the end of the day, we're really not in any fear of losing this. What we're talking about is how hard are we going to win? I hope it's more than anybody here predicts, but at the end of the day, this is already a W and pretty much a net good for the world. There's really no downside if they don't have the capability to attack us back. If all they can do is hit small little thing here, little thing there. And we keep in mind the IRGC, as much as they might be radicals or extremists, they're still a paid fucking group of people. And when their paychecks stop coming in, I bet you they start changing their tune a little bit. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we'll go to any other things coming up that you want to promote or say before we...
I got a debate on Saturday. I don't even know what it's about yet, but I'm going to win it because, it is what it is.
How are you going to do it?
Horseradish.
Nice. Also, quick fact check, it wasn't Raytheon, it was RTX, was the one that leaked to China. All right, and on that note, Grid, go ahead. What are your closing thoughts, any opinions?
Me again. All right. Well, I think it was a great discussion with Dylan. I think that he's butthurt that we're supporting Iran and not in ways that we didn't support Ukraine. I think the difference is there are Americans that have been dying in the Middle East for 70 years, and that's why, honestly, I've never cared about Ukraine to start with. I still don't now. But I do very much care about the Middle East. I really, really am tired of Americans dying there. And if this is the path to that stopping, I'm all for it. And as far as the winning or not winning, no, I don't. I mean, look, we accomplished a ton of our goals in the first few hours. I think we constantly reassessed what those goals need to be to declare an actual victory, and some of those are going to depend on our diplomatic solutions, right? Whether or not I necessarily agree with those is at this point kind of immaterial. But at the end of the day, there's there's no there's nothing here that surprises me. There's nothing here that is unsuspected, other than the fact that I honestly thought it would take Iran a little longer to run out of missiles. They have had a long, long time to stockpile, but I thought they had more. I thought they had legs. I don't want this to turn into another Baghdad where we're going house to house and room to room. So I'm perfectly happy, carpet bombing it from 30,000 feet. I'm sending the B-52s. Let's do that. Let's make that happen. And at this point, I'm just over the Middle East. I really am. I don't care if it's Persian, Zoroastrian, Kurd. I don't care who steps up to the plate as long as they want to make a better Middle East and they want to work with their neighbors. Other than that, I don't give a shit. Bomb them all, whatever. It doesn't matter. I think that Dylan's made some good points. I disagree with some of them, well, most of them, and that's okay. We can have a civilized discourse that way. And I appreciate him coming on. I did actually try and, kind of tone down a little bit because it was 2-on-1, which is never fair. And Tyler, you get him going, and he just won't stop. So.
We
But
appreciate
at
it.
any rate, I'm a non-interventionist, so I this is why I believe this is the way I'm taking the steps that I am. We should not be the enforcer. We absolutely should not be the world police, despite anything Tyler says. That is not our job. It is not our bill to pay. And anything that'll get us out of the Middle East and get those troops back home where they belong, I'm good to go. And if that means the Saudis have to get their tippy toes in the sand, fine. Let's make that happen. Thanks a lot, Dylan, for coming out.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. All right, and Mr. Burns.
Sure. So I think for me, the metrics of success, it's just very hard to gauge it. And I don't think we've really got a conclusion on judging metrics, just that the metrics may change as the war goes on. We might, take what we can get when it comes to concessions. But I would judge success based on the end of the atomic weapons program, us being able to get material that would set it back not a year, but set it back half a decade. The South Africans were able to get an atomic weapon. And when the South Africans were asked afterwards, when we were getting it back from them, taking it and they were being disarmed, their scientists made very clear that the thing that scared them most about the program was how easy it was to make an atomic weapon. And so this is the overarching biggest threat when it comes to the Iranian government. And that is my main priority. When we start adding other metrics of success, like getting rid of the leadership, choosing the leadership, getting rid of the entirety of the ballistic missile program, stopping the funding of the proxies, these different other measurements of success, I see them as, well, we weren't able to get the atomic weapons program. Maybe we can get one of those. But I haven't been able to get one of those either. And so right now, they are being degraded. They will probably continue to be degraded further. But strikes on desalination plants are still something I'm concerned about. The Red Sea being brought into the equation by the Houthis, that lever being pulled, is something I'm still concerned about. And I am not convinced that the Iranian government is on the way out. And I am also not convinced that Donald Trump wants to make that government go on the way out by targeting all of its oil and gas infrastructure. One statistic I didn't get to talk about today: the Iranians are exporting more fuel now than they were before the bombing. They're exporting 30% more fuel month on month compared to February in the month of March. They are making more money today than they were before the war due to the price increase and them continuing to export product. So if Trump was to go after one of the largest oil producers in the world that produces, while it's in the top 10, I think it's still 4%. If we were to get rid of that on the market, on top of endangering the Strait of Hormuz, that would even further damage the energy markets in a midterm election. And so it's not that I don't think that maybe we could eventually topple the regime. It's that I don't know if Trump's willing to do the damage to himself and his own political dynasty and his own image to do it, knowing that it's the economy, stupid. And I think that his prioritization of his own politics in that moment is going to mean that he won't be willing to pull the trigger. And so he's going to continue to say, hey, could you please demine the Strait of Hormuz, or maybe we'll do something. And he's going to try to find any other way to finagle it besides pulling the trigger, going after Carg Island, and lighting ablaze all of their oil fields, which will further damage energy markets before midterm. And the longer he waits, the closer it will be to the midterm when he does that disturbance. So if he is going to do it, sooner would be better, but he hasn't done it yet. We'll see. Besides that, Ukraine's cool. And we should give every taxpayer dollar to Mr. Ukraine. Especially anything that was going to be spent on homeless, disabled, veteran, patriot grandfathers, and everyone we love in America, specifically. I think every cup of a homeless man should have to dump half of it in the Ukraine bucket in funds for aid. Okay, so that's my official position. Not ironic. You can find my content. You can find my content at Lactoid at Twitch TV.
Are you? Nice. I also agree. Trump, you should open up the military-industrial complex for Ukraine and help my stock some more. I appreciate it if you can do that. Thank you. Yeah. Also, guys, if you like this, I'm going to be ending this shortly, but just wait about 10 seconds to refresh because we're going to go panel hopping and yelling at people about fucking, I don't know, some kind of bullshit war-related stuff, and why they hate America for not helping Papa Gibbs get rich. So that's what we're going to talk about going forward here. But we're going to end. We're not going to raid, though. So whatever. Thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been very good. It's been very fun. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's evening.
See you guys.
All right, folks. One moment. We're going to end right in a second and go right back live. I promise. Let's just do panel hopping with the best. Panel hopping for the military-industrial complex. Why do I have to end? Just because I want to do it for editing and I'm lazy. That's what we're going to do. All right? Sounds good. All right, give me like 10 seconds.